Hello everyone, guys. I'm audible to all. So all are available. Shall we proceed, guys? I'm audible to all. Is there any issue?
Your voice is not loud, very slow.
Yeah, sure.
He's speaking or what means? Hello.
So guys, what's happening? Why you are unable to unmute your line? What's the problem?
Uh,
Audible.
I'm
Not
unable to
audible.
pick your voice, Loksai. Your voice is very slow.
Yeah, looks like we can't able to hear you anything.
What? Hello. Yeah, now it is fine. Yeah.
Okay, okay. Now only you can hear me.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yes.
yeah.
All right. I think the mic went somewhere beyond the limit. Okay, so I'm not talking anything. Okay, I'm just checking whether you people are responding. I can see most of you people have started practicing this. It's really good. Just trying to get their feedback. No questions as of now. I can see all are posting good responses. No specific question on these topics.
No, sir.
Mhm. Yes, no.
All clear so far. No doubt.
Okay. It's a miracle. Everyone, huh?
Yeah, yeah, Loksai. Yeah, it is fine.
Looks like I have a question. I'm not able to connect to the slave machine through that private key.
Okay, very good. Yeah, really good. So, what is expected now? And how many of you got the output or execution successful in the very first attempt?
Yeah, it is done from my end. Yeah.
Yes,
So, what
from my end also.
Yeah, I am also
from
done with that.
okay, so as per the class notes and document, if you started the work, you got the result, right?
Yeah, yeah, it is very useful for that. Yeah.
Okay. And how many of you bit struggle to achieve the end state?
Actually, I struggle, but yesterday mentorship session, I just like cleared my doubt regarding that one. That's the reason I'm able to like get my end
All
result.
right. All right. So people who are facing some issues or errors, I really appreciate, and I really, appreciate them because they're going to learn something in depth now, right? If you're getting everything is successful, okay, whatever we were discussing, you're just successful, okay with that. But when you get any error, if you understand the error message and if you can able to troubleshoot and fix that issue by yourself, right? That is where the actual learning, correct? Because I told you, troubleshooting is also one of our primary responsibility, correct? Yes.
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
So
yes.
if you are getting any error, like someone mentioned, like unable to connect slave node, right? So if you are getting such issues, right, it is first of all consider that as an opportunity and try to follow the steps. What are steps included? Review it once again and identify where you missed and fix it. So whenever we get any issues, not only in this module, in any module you work, if you're getting any errors or issues, your primary responsibility to locate the error. First of all, you need to at least locate where it is. And then you should be able to understand what it is. Once you can able to understand, right, you can able to easily fix it, whatever the issue it is. After all, just a Groovy script or Linux commands, right? We are not writing any code for artificial intelligence, right? It is just a very basic Linux commands. And the remote server connectivity already we did in our Linux model itself, right? So can you able to figure out the issue? What is the error message at least?
Yes, looks like
What is the error?
uh, error says it's something with the public key. When I try to SSH to the slave machine from the master end, it says permission denied due to public key. Some parenthesis public key it says.
Which version of Linux you're using? Is that
Uh, Both are 22, I guess.
you
Not sure.
guess? Please check because the latest version 24.04 version will not support that protocol. That is the reason I am expecting you to use 22.04 version, correct?
Yes.
All right. So please check with this If this is fixed, and if you followed all the steps as per my instruction, you are good.
Okay, Loksai.
I have a one question, Sai. So whatever slave nodes we have executed in this Jenkins master, so can you delete that slave nodes also in this Jenkins master?
Yeah, you can.
So I don't see any option there for delete purpose.
You can go to Manage Jenkins. Under
Okay.
node configuration dashboard, you can see the list of nodes, right?
Yes.
Click on the node which you want to delete. It will take you to the configuration page. At the left side, you can find an option to delete that node. Usually, we never delete the node in real-time environment. If you think it is not required, you can disable it. Got it?
Yeah. Got it.
There is an option to disable, enable, or delete the node on the same configuration page.
So Loksai, do I need to create another master node again?
Yeah. Create another node and then validate the result.
Yeah, okay. Thanks.
Yeah. So we have created these two nodes on that day. It is in stop state. All right. So what we'll do now, we'll get into the next level. Guys, and one more thing I strongly recommend, if you are thinking like you are having good progress by going to the class notes and recordings, like you can able to practice it and make it successful, I strongly recommend try to do all these things without referring the notes or recordings once again.
Hello, Loksai.
Got it? So try to practice this once again without referring the notes or recordings. It will give you more confidence if you're doing the things individually or independently. Are you getting your point? Commands you can copy, there's no issues. Okay, even in real time also, we never uh, memorize all these commands. Okay, we never do that. We always take it from the official page only. And it is always recommended to copy paste the command. We never manually type the command, because when you type and if there is any typo, it might lead to rework. So even in real-time environment, you'll be getting such manuals, installation process manual, and you'll be strictly following the document. In a real-time client environment, all right, in the client machines, if you try to do configuration, right, they will be providing you the manuals. You have to strictly follow that. You might be expert in that, assuming that you can able to do the things by yourself, you can start typing command. No, you have to strictly follow that, because if anything goes wrong, the validator will just cross verify the history of your commands, whatever you executed, to troubleshoot the issue. Got it? So during the time, if there is any issue, deviation, again, it leads to some unwanted, unnecessary conversations and all. So you should understand what you're doing. If you're clear with what you're doing, you can strictly follow the document. That's it. Easy. 27th Feb. Okay. Okay, 28th. Okay, super. So I thought it's Friday. All right then. So shall we move to next topic? Is there anyone asked a question between? I missed someone. Who's it? Is there any question from anyone? Someone who interrupted in between? Any question? No question. All right. So shall we move to the next level now? As part of our application deployment workflow, in this architecture, we already have a Jenkins master and slave node, and now we are going to enhance this with our Tomcat server. And on last session itself, I clearly told you the purpose of Tomcat server. What is the need for Tomcat and why we are going to use all those things, right? One second. So what is the purpose of Tomcat server?
To copy the uh,
To deploy the
To deploy Maven based application.
Yes, super. And okay. All right. So now we'll see how to add this server to our architecture, and we'll see what all the tools has to be installed in that server, and we'll set up the connection between the Tomcat server and the Jenkins master node. So which plugin is used to implement this? We talked about one plugin, remember?
public publish over SSH.
plugin.
Publish over
SSH.
SSH plugin. So we have to, I think we already installed in our architecture, right?
Yes.
Have you all installed it?
Yes.
Okay, super. So yes. So with this, we are going to configure our Tomcat server in Jenkins master node. So to implement this also, I have the documentation, but it is not yet shared with you people. Today I'll be sharing it, how to set up your Tomcat server on your Ubuntu machine. So here also we're going to use the same Ubuntu 22.04 version. And Tomcat is a web application server. It means it by default runs in port 8080. Correct. And in order to work on this, you have to enable the security group inbound rule of that particular service. And then from this official page, you can understand the installation process, like how to install Tomcat and other stuff. Correct. So this is the official page, which will tell you how to install Tomcat and other commands. That's what I just copied in my notes here. It's a very simple process. So download this package and then start up the service, right? And once the server is up and running, you can use the public IP address of Tomcat server and port 8080, you can access it. And once the Tomcat server is installed and configured, we have to create the user in the Tomcat server, and that user should be enabled with proper SS key with a private and public key. And then we'll be using a publish or SSH plugin to integrate this. So only dependency for Tomcat is JDK. Ensure that you first install JDK, and based upon the JDK, you can install your Tomcat. Any question on the steps? Any question?
No.
All right. So let me get into this node and we'll launch an instance. Let's tag it as and I want to use Ubuntu previous version. It is 22.04 version. And T2 micro is sufficient. You can use the same key pair which you already have and launch the instance. Yes, so I can see instances ready. I can start these servers also in shortly. I strongly recommend people to be an independent No, user. Understand it properly and try to implement. Because in a real-time environment, no one will give you this much KT, knowledge transfer, during your project phase and all. Like how we are doing it step by step, no one will be there to guide you. All right, so they'll be providing you some manuals, as like how I'm giving you some lab manuals here, like that you'll be getting some process documentation and the design documentation. You have to go through the document and do it by yourself. That is what the real-time scenario. People who are already working must be aware of it. Correct? So try to cultivate that attitude. Okay. Don't think like we have someone to help us. Forget about them. We learned something. We have our artifacts, documentations here. Try to recollect what are things discussed and start implementing it. Under worst case scenario, if you think that you cannot do it, if you admit, then you can seek help from anyone. That is the learning capability. Are you getting your point?
Yeah, yes.
What happened? Yeah, yesterday you were off. Today, I think you people must be very active. Or shall we have the sessions on Monday? I mean, in the morning sessions. Is it okay? Evening, I think people are so tired. Huh? Yes, no? Mm, all right. So now let's execute this command to install JDK. No need to go with any specific version, okay? Because Tomcat, it can run in default version. Or if your application team is expecting any specific version, you can install that version also, no problem. So I'm just trying to install the default version. Right. So now if you can see the version of JDK, it will be throwing the result. And we are going to create one folder. Okay, I mean, we are going to create one package here, like cd/opt ls. So if you see here in our Linux environment, this is the root directory, correct? In root directory, you can able to see all these system components, your Linux system components, everything. As like how we use Windows C drive to maintain all the OS related and other package components. Similarly, in Linux environment, we have something called etc directory, which maintains all the default softwares and packages which you install, component details, everything, system softwares, everything. Apart from that, if you want to maintain any user specific application packages, you can use this OPT. It is like a separate folder to maintain our software packages. And let me run this command. I just want to download this. It is available. So it is getting downloaded. So I'm trying to install Tomcat 8.5 version. 8.5.9. Correct. So it gets downloaded and we have to extract that. So there is a command called tar command that is used to extract the zip file. because we are going to download a zip file here. Linux zip file. In a Windows machine, we have a zip file, right? We use a WinRAR or WinZip to extract that file. Similarly, here we use the tar command to extract that file. And once you extract, you can able to find a folder. Within that folder, you can find the Tomcat executable. So I'll show you. See here, we have this Tomcat zip file package is downloaded, and you can use the star command to extract that file. So upon extraction, you can able to find a folder called Apache Tomcat 8.5.99. And you can see these are all the components of your Tomcat web application server. And usually we just simplify the file or folder name. Like for example, so this is a folder, right? I don't want to use a complete folder because tomorrow if you want to configure with any external server, it might get extended with the files path. So if you want, you can able to change the name of the directory. So I'm just using a mv command to rename this folder to Tomcat. See, that folder has been renamed to Tomcat for simplicity. Now, if you go to the Tomcat folder, you can find the components. And another important thing here is in my yesterday sessions, if I told you, when we talk about the deployment, we need to identify the target server and the target path. This is what I was talking about. So now in OPD directory, we have Tomcat. And within the Tomcat, you can find there is something called web apps folder. So if you navigate to the web apps folder, you can able to see some components. So this is a path where you are going to deploy your artifacts. Understood? Are you getting your point?
Yes.
So through Jenkins, we'll copy this artifacts from your slave node into this particular directory. So with this, we have installed and enabled the Tomcat. Now we're going to start the Tomcat service. So in order to start the Tomcat service, right, like within the Tomcat folder, there is a drive called bin, cd to the bin folder. And here you can see there is a script called startup.sh script. It is a shell script provided by the Tomcat application package. So you can simply run that script. So you know how to run the shell script, correct? See, once you execute this script, it automatically start your Tomcat server. All right. So this is how we download Tomcat, extract it, and then using the startup.sh, we can able to start the Tomcat. And now in this particular node, as I said already, we have to enable the inbound rule, the security group of that node. So go to that node security group, edit the inbound rule and add it like 8080 and save the rule. Correct? So now this server is enabled with port 8080 as well, and the Tomcat service is up and running in my server. So how can I access the Tomcat application through web browser? Means just go to your web browser, take the public IP address of your Tomcat server, which you have, where you install Tomcat, copy this public IP and use port 8080 on your web browser. You can able to see your Tomcat default page. It's a web page. One web application service is up and running. As like how you started your Jenkins server and access through web browser, we have just started Tomcat server and accessing through web browser. Easy? Quite easy, right?
Yes, sir.
Very simple. Okay, it's not a rocket science here. Very, very simple. Now what next? What next? Integration. We have to integrate our Tomcat server with Jenkins master node. So to do this, we have to create a user profile, right? So if you can see my official documentation steps, we are good with this server access. Now we are going to create a user. So let's use the same command, user add command in our node. So as a root user, I'm going to create one new user called user add DevOps admin and get into that user. And now we are going to create the key pair using SSH keygen for the DevOps admin user. All these steps are much familiar for you people now, correct? Yes.
.ssh, yes, correct.
All right. So now you can able to see public key and private key here. And on top of it, we're going to create one authorized key. Copy that public key of DevOps admin user and create an authorized key. The file name should be exactly same. Once it is created, that key should be protected. It should be accessible only by DevOps admin. So use the chmod command and change the access. Easy? Are we good with this?
Yes.
Yeah, yes.
Yes.
Now, very important thing is, I have created this Tomcat server. My server is up and running. I've created the user authentication. Everything is done. I want to integrate my Tomcat server to Jenkins master node. So how we are going to communicate? We are going to communicate through DevOps admin user ID, correct? I'm going to share the private key of DevOps admin user into Jenkins master node. So Jenkins master will communicate to Tomcat server using the DevOps admin user and copy the artifacts to the target path. So the actual deployment will be done only through this DevOps admin user, not as a root user. So it means this DevOps admin user should have privilege to access Tomcat service, correct? Where we install Tomcat?
OPT,
Under OPT, we have Tomcat.
Tomcat.
Web app.
And we have web apps. See, as a DevOps admin user, if I try to access the directory, it says permission denied because this Tomcat directory is completely owned by the root user. If I exit from DevOps admin user and as a root user, if I navigate to that path, die, I'm able to access it. So what it means? This DevOps admin user is not having access to this directory because it is completely owned by the root user. So what should I do now?
You have you have to
You
add
have to
this
give user mode and
to
you have to
the
permission
group.
to
This user you have to add it to the Tomcat group so that we can use the
No, there is nothing called Tomcat group and all. We are just going to change the ownership of the directory. That's all. Because we haven't installed Tomcat using any package manager as like Docker. Got it? It is not a predefined service. Only thing is I need access to this directory. Correct? I just need access to this directory. So what I can do, if I'm going to use DevOps admin as a user to perform all sort of deployments, I can change the ownership of this directory. Simple as that. So there is a command called chown command. Chown -r followed by the user ID. To which user you want to give access. Enter the user ID followed by the directory. To which directory you want to give access or change the ownership. -r denotes recursive. That means all the files and folders within the Tomcat will be changed to DevOps admin now. Now, if I say LL, You can see the owner of this particular directory is changed to DevOps admin. So this is also a way, another method to grant access to any directory, changing the ownership. If you're using chmod, owner will be same, but only the access you are changing. But now owner itself you are changing actually. No need to give any explicit access there. So if I say SU to DevOps admin user, and if I navigate to that path now, I should be able to access it. Easy. So don't worry, I just mentioned everything in my document one by one. So you can follow this and understand and do it. So any question on these steps?
Now the ownership will be with root user as well as DevOps admin, or it will be moved to completely to DevOps?
DevOps admin is the owner, root is the group ID, group name. Got it? That doesn't matter. Or if you want, you can change group also. But as of now, for this requirement, I'm just changing only the owner.
So as per
Okay.
my understanding, Logside DevOps admin and root both can access this.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you want to access this through root user, it's possible because already the root user is part of the root user root group, right? So it's possible.
This ownership command can we use for any restrictions is there, or we can use for any other users also?
You
This
can use for any other user also. As a root user, run the you can run the command
okay.
for any user. Right? Hmm. So now we are good with the Tomcat server with all the required access and the tools. Let's get into the Jenkins console and use publish ORS plugin to attach the server to Jenkins master node. So let me start that service.
Logside can't sorry, can't we start the this Tomcat server through the systemctl command?
It is not a package, right? As like Jenkins, it is not installed through your package manager. The Tomcat package is available in the form of zip file only. That is how they packaged and ported to the target machines. Any package, if you install it through your package manager, or any package, if it is by default having the service definition, it can be started using your systemctl start command. But we just downloaded the zip file and extracted it, right?
Yes.
So on OS perspective, that extracted file is just a static file. OS will not consider that as a service. Then how it is running as a service means by using the shell script. Within the shell script, they given the definition of that package to start as a service. Got it?
Yeah.
Fine.
Sorry, but we can create a system title for this one, right? I mean,
You can create a service, no
yeah,
problem.
that we can create, right? Optionally.
You can create a service definition.
And moreover, I have a small doubt. Usually keys are like ID underscore like RCA, right? But here we are using ECD ESA. Any particular reason or else randomly we use it?
Which one?
I mean, keys we are generating, right?
Uh-huh.
Public private key.
It depends on the protocol, right? Like I'm using Ubuntu machine.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, usually it will be the ID
RSA.
good RSA, some like RSA.
See here, that's what you can see here, right? I just mentioned the document also. No, I'm not sure how many of you observed it.
Hmm.
So Ubuntu from 20 22.04 or higher version, we use ECDSA. If the previous version of Ubuntu means, you can use RSA. ECDSA is considered as a more secured and encrypted when compared to RSA actually.
Okay.
It's just a encryption protocol, right?
Okay. And sometimes they'll ask this kind of questions by using RSA. Yeah, okay, got it. I understand. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. So now we are ready with our server and we are going to use our Jenkins node. I think by this time my Jenkins server should be up and running. What's the ID? What's the ID and password?
Admin.
As an administrator, you're disclosing a password, huh? All right, so let's get into the Manage Jenkins. And from this Manage Jenkins option, from here, you can get into the system configuration. Listen carefully. Go to the system's global configuration. And there you can find the option to set up your remote server. Can you see this? So when you say publish OSS plugin, only if you install that plugin, you can able to find this option here. It's the last plugin we installed, so it is available the last. Just scroll down at the end, you can see this. And this is a place where you can able to configure remote server. You can able to add any number of remote servers here. So go to this publish OSS plugin session, and you can find there's an option called SS servers add. Click on this add button. And here you can enable to give the server details. Like I can simply select Tomcat server, just a server name. And the host name, it should be the private IP address of your Tomcat server. Take the private IP address of your Tomcat server and have it as a host name. And what is the username?
DevOps admin.
Username is
DevOps admin.
DevOps admin. And what about the remote directory?
-opt Tomcat.
Yeah, so I just want to consider this folder as a remote directory. I don't want to keep my artifacts in the user's home directory. I want to keep it in the Tomcat's home directory. Easy. So under publish OS plugin, add SS server. Give the server name. It can be anything as per your choice. Give the host name. Host name should be the private IP address of a machine for now. Username is the DevOps admin user and the remote directory. Now, out of 3 parameters, we have given the host name and the username. What is the third parameter? Credentials. So click on this advanced settings. And here you can see there is checkbox. Use password authentication or use different key. Enable this checkbox. When you enable checkbox, you can find there is a multi-line text box available here. Here you can copy paste it. Private key. Got it? That's it. It's simple as that. So ensure that you enter your valid server name, your host name, username, and the key by enabling this advanced settings checkbox. If you entered all these parameters, if you want, you can quickly check for the connection. Just click on this test configuration button. It just check for the configuration. You can see I got a service message as success. So it means Jenkins can able to use this publish or REST plugin to interact with this server and able to access server as a DevOps end user with this credential. Got it? So sometimes if you miss something here, let's say I just enter some other value. If there is any mismatch in my username or a host name or the key, it will fail for the connection. Got it? So if you want to make it successful, please take care of these 4 parameters and check it out. Am I clear? Any question on this configuration page?
No, Loksai.
So once you're clear with this, you can save the configuration. Just click on apply. The changes will be implemented. And now you can go to your Jenkins dashboard. And from this, we can go to our pipeline project. We are going to enhance our pipeline project now. See, automatically node is up and running. Can you see this? As soon as you start your Jenkins slave node, we already pre-configured it. So my node is available now for my access. So just go to the pipeline project and we are going to enhance our pipeline script. This one, right? We can use the same source code repository. And let's update this one. Okay. I want to add a script for deployment. So how to generate a script here means it's very simple. Go to your pipeline project, go to the configuration of the project, or on this page, you can see something called pipeline syntax. If you click on the pipeline syntax, it will take you to the snippet generator. Remember, I showed you a snippet generator to create some scripts.
Yes.
From that page, you can choose your publish or as a plugin details and access your plugin there to create a deployment step. Yeah, so I'm on this publish or as a plugin. So we are going to update this deployment stage. So in this, you can search for SSH. See, there is a SSH publisher, which helps to send build artifacts over SSH. Select this. And as soon as you select this, it will expect some parameters. First thing is the name of the server which you want to connect. Since we already configured here, you can able to see this Tomcat server. It is available in your dropdown. So before you use your publisher's plugin snippet generator, you have to set up your target server and choose it from this dropdown. And then we have to give the source file. What is the source file here? The source file is
Okay. Warren.
target file. Right. Because if you go to my Tomcat server here, build server, this is my build server. Tomcat server. So in this build server, in my target folder, I have the war file. So my expectation is I want to copy this war file into my target system, right? From this target folder. So take that file name and update your source file. But where this file is present, it is present in my target folder. So in my target folder, I have a war file and this is a war file name. And as per the expectation, this file, war file should be copied to the remote directory. What is the remote directory? It is a web app directory that is present in your target server. Since we already configured here, you can simply say dot. Dot represents the current directory of this server. The current directory of the server we already configured in this plugin. So it will consider this as a target folder or remote directory now. And another important thing is when we try to copy the artifacts from your source machine to the target machine, especially if it is a Tomcat server, the war file should be maintained in this web apps folder. It should be only the war file. You should not copy the entire target folder name. So all that you should do here is go to your file name and you need to remove the prefix from the file name. Because if you can see my source code repository, it is having only the source code. Target is just additional folder. In my workspace directory, it creates a new target folder and maintains this file. So from there, I need to remove the prefix and add only the war file or the file name to my remote directory. Easy. So with all these parameters, if you click on generate, you can find a script is ready. Easy. Any question on this configuration? So we have chosen the SS publisher, identify the Tomcat server, and also we identify the source file which you want to copy from your build server and the remote directory. As per the Tomcat server definition, the web app folder should contain only the war file which you want to copy. So remove this prefix from your source file name using remove prefix option. So this will identify only this file here. So if with all this parameter, if you click on generate script, you'll be getting a snippet here. Take this script and update it here. There's a script which I want to update. Any question on this?
No.
You all able to understand what has happened here?
Yes.
Yes, it's clear.
All right. So now we are going to add this script, correct? So let me use this here under the script tag. So whenever you're trying to add a script using publish or as a plugin or multiple script definitions you want to give, it should be coded as a script here, not sh. Sh is just to execute a command like this. But here it is considered a script, which is going to invoke your publish as a plugin and copy the artifacts. So open the script tag here, and within the block, you maintain your snippet whatever generated. Easy. So this is how we prepare our deployment stage. If you're clear with this, then you can copy this into your pipeline project. Hope it's visible, right? That's it. That's it. This is how we set up your pipeline script for deployment. Apply the changes. Any question? So now if you can see the script here, it is going to interact with the Tomcat server and identify the root remote directory. And also we have identified the source file and remove the prefix. These are some mandatory parameters required here. Easy. So save the changes. And in my Tomcat server, this is what the content as of now. So I just want to trigger the build now. I want to trigger the build number 5. It is started. And if I check the console output of this build, can you see this? So from this screen, you can see it is running on Jenkins slave node 1, and it is running in this workspace folder. This workspace folder, it has downloaded the entire source code repository, and then it has performed the Maven clean and package command. It has performed the automated testing also, because in our source code, we are using JUnit testing tool to perform the testing, right? And then the build is successful. The artifact is ready here. And while running the last stage, it has performed the SS connection to that host machine, connected to the server, and able to transfer one file to that server. Means in your Tomcat server, if you say ls, you should be able to see that WAR file available now. Easy. So this is what we call it as continuous integration, continuous delivery or deployment process, CI/CD pipeline. Any question? What happened?
Not as of now, Loksai, but once we will start practicing it, definitely something will come up as a question. Because you are doing it, you have expertise in it, so you're doing it effortlessly. But once, specifically, if I will try to do it on my own, questions will surely come up.
Okay,
How
all
we
the
can
best.
deploy in this UAT and production? So
Hmm?
this parameter we have given this freestyle project, yes, to deploying the target server for
It's all
US.
your logic. It's all your logic, right? Let's say I have this pipeline script, right? So you can see in my previous session, I shared one entire workflow here, right? So now that we achieved till this level, correct?
Yeah.
And if you want, you can add one more server and add it to Jenkins master node through publish OS plugin. Similarly, production server to publish OS plugin and attach a number of components there. And then you can able to add any number of servers in your configuration here. So if I click on add server in publish OS plugin page, I can add one more server. It will be a UAT server, right? Configure it. Similarly, you can add another server for production server. Like this, you can able to add any number of servers to your Jenkins master. And once a script is, server is configured, you can able to enhance your pipeline script. As per this workflow. Like assume that this is my QA server. Like this, you can able to have it in your UAT or prod. I'm talking about your continuous integration, continuous delivery. Continuous integration, continuous deployment strategy. As soon as you commit your source code, it will automatically pick up the code, perform build, deploy to QA, perform the QA testing, and then deploy to UAT, perform UAT testing, and deploy to production environment directly. Simple as that. Or if you split the pipeline into two levels, one is your continuous integration pipeline, and another thing is continuous deployment pipeline. If there are two different pipelines, in that case, you can have one pipeline and just parameterize it. Use one environment variable as how we declared. Based on runtime input, you can able to identify the server and deploy it. It's all our logic we can create. Easy?
Yeah, that's
All right. So this is about setting up your CI/CD pipeline with your Jenkins using Maven and Tomcat Web Application Server. Right. So the next topic in the list is about build trigger. And then the last topic is email notification. We have just two more topics left out in this. Shall we proceed or you want to have a quick break and come back? Hmm? Yes. Tell me,
We'll
please.
have a break.
Okay. Please. All right. Go ahead, please.
If I want to connect slave node 2 and 3 and same process, same procedure I will follow now, right?
Yes, that's right.
And it will copy, I want to copy the WAR file from slave 2, slave 3, slave 4 to that
Yes.
Tomcat.
Yes.
Same
Yes.
folder I need to copy.
Yeah, that's right.
Same path. So everything will
Yes.
be same.
Yes, that's right. recordings போட்டிங்களா?
In snipper generator, we are selecting the file as per the plugins, right?
Means
Means for that Spring Boot, we used Git. We selected Git there in the drop down. And for MVN clean package, we selected SH. And now for Tomcat, we use that SSH, that whatever downloaded, publish over plugin and install. That drop down I'm asking.
can you come again with the question? What you asked actually?
In snipper generator, when we are generating that script, we are selecting the drop down according to the plugins. For example,
Yes, according to your, it is actually based upon your task.
yeah,
You're going to execute one stage. In that stage, what is your task? If you want to execute a simple shell command, means you can use shell sh.
okay,
If you want to access your remote server, means you can use publish as a plugin. If you
okay,
want to access Git, means you can use Git plugin.
yes,
If you want to work with Docker, you can use Docker. Like that depends upon your task. You are going to choose the task definition there.
right.
Looks like if you want to run the pipeline in multiple slaves, what would be the script for that one?
Have your label name. More than one label can be given there, right? I've added agent label.
Yes,
Followed by another agent name you can give, no problem.
like slave one, comma slave two.
Yeah, slave 2 you can add.
Okay, got it.
Right. So that's it. Any other questions, guys, about your deployment? Hope all are back. So next in the list is about your build trigger and email notification. So first we'll talk about build trigger. I'll show you a demo of how to use your automated builds and scheduling. And then I will explain how to use your email notification. It is something you can able to use your personal account. Like if you're all using a Gmail account, you can able to integrate your Gmail server with your Jenkins server for email notification enablement. Okay, I'll just give you the steps, but it is something, it's your personal account. Okay, I cannot demonstrate completely there, but I can give you all the steps. You can try from your end, and you can able to update me once it is ready. We can implement the pipeline. So now let's talk about the build trigger. And once these things are ready, we'll go with the next model called Docker. All right. So then we'll be having Azure DevOps, sorry, Azure. Hope you all have this list, right? Okay, super. It will be more interesting, Azure and all, right? You'll enjoy like anything. Okay, then. So let's talk about this one first. Yeah, build trigger. Listen carefully. So it is used to automate your builds. Okay, like consider I want to execute a job. I have prepared my Jenkins job here, and my requirement is I want to execute this job. So how we usually execute this? We are doing it through a manual approach. Like if you can see this job is started by the user. It means manually this job has been started by one user. So this is one method to start your job or run your job. Apart from that, consider scenario, I just want to execute this job every day morning at 8 a.m. Got it? Or every day at 10 p.m. Like that, if I want to start or execute any job in a given time period, I cannot manually do that, right? So in such situations, we can use an option called build trigger. So if you can see the job configuration, there is an option called triggers. There you can find something called build periodic option, GitHub webhook, and poll SEM. So build triggers can be enabled using
Scheduling the jobs.
sorry.
Scheduling the jobs. Yeah.
Yeah, it is used to schedule a job. It can be done through your build periodic option. And then we have something called GitHub webhook, and then poll SEM. So these are three options provided by Jenkins to automate or schedule your builds. And if you're talking about build periodic, irrespective of your application builds and deployment, okay, it is used to schedule any job to run in a specific time period. There is no such thing like it is meant only for your application builds and deployment. It is basically used to schedule any process automation. I believe you must be working on some process, right? Like, let's say you want to execute a job and the job should run in a given time period. It can be in the morning, 8 a.m. or in the evening. It depends upon your time period. If you want to start any job, you can able to use this. So it uses a cron tab mechanism to schedule a job. So I'll quickly share you some of the details here. So listen, please. So usually this build trigger, it is used to automate any specific job. Let's say, for example, you guys are using your AWS server, right? Like this server. I'll give you one real-time scenario, okay? Just one example. I started all these servers manually now, right? At around 8 p.m. something, correct? Like this, in a real-time environment, there will be n number of servers required. If you talk about any environment, like it can be your dev environment or build environment or QA, UAT environment. So these non-prod servers environments will be available only during business hours, right? What about the production servers?
24/7.
So
Yes.
24/7, the production server should be up and running. Can we run the non-prod servers 24/7?
As per the need, we can.
As per the need, you can run 24/7 non-prod servers. Definitely not. Non-prod servers should be available only during business hours. Let's say if you're talking about dev environments, there are some dev servers. If you're talking about build environment, build servers. So only if the application team is available online, they need the server, right? If they're not available, then why should I have the server up and running? Honestly, it will be impacting my billing, right? So in order to effectively manage the cost of your server, we should not keep our servers up and running 24/7. Okay, so what I can do, I need to start this dev server morning at 8 a.m. and stop that server at around 10 p.m. Every day it should happen. So if that is my requirement, I cannot come and start all these late. There might be hundreds of dev servers. There may be hundreds of build servers. Manually, I can't go and start all these servers. So what I'll do, I'll be creating one Jenkins job. In the Jenkins job, I can able to share all the required details of the server, which I have to start, and I can be scheduled to run at 8 a.m. Similarly, I'll be having another Jenkins job to stop all the servers that can be scheduled to run at 10 p.m. Like this, we can able to schedule a job at a specific time period. For that, we use something called cron tab. So cron tab means it is scheduling parameters. It is used to schedule job execution. So if you can look into this job, like if you're not sure about it, just go to your job configuration. Just enable the build periodic checkbox here. Enable the checkbox. Once you enable the checkbox, you can see something called schedule, right? If you're not sure what to code here, just click on this question mark. It will give you the complete picture about that field. Syntax of cron. So any cron tab will be having 5 parameters, that is minutes, hours, day of month, and then day of week. If you scroll down, they have given you some examples also. Like if you want to run this job or schedule this job for every 15 minutes, this is a cron tab. So if I use it here, it will execute the job for every 15 minutes. Instead of that, if I simply say asterisk for all 5 fields, see what it means? Every minute. Got it? So if you want to schedule, if I save this job, what happens, let me save this, click on apply. And let me go and check the project status. So the last job which was executed is build number 5, right? In few seconds, once it reaches the schedule, see build number 6 has started now automatically. I haven't started this, okay? If I go to the console output of the job, you can see. So how it happens means it is based upon the schedule. It is started by the timer. Got it? Because in my job configuration, where is it? I have updated this value. So till I cancel the schedule, my job will be executed for every minute. Every minute gets executed. That is what the automated scheduling means. Like this, you can able to define some time frame. Like if you want, you can able to start your job for every 2 hours or every day morning at 8 a.m. or 12 p.m. Like that, you can able to define your cron tab. All right, let me remove this. Otherwise, it will keep on executing. See, while we are talking, within a minute, it triggered one more build number 7. Easy. So if you're not sure about this cron tab, like how to define this cron tab, what are the values we have? If you want to understand about it, there is one link. There is something called cron tab guru.group. Just go to this link and you can explore. This is an example, okay? You can explore this. Here, you can able to explore some examples also. Click on this examples link. They have given you a lot of scenarios. Like if you want to schedule a job for every minute, this is the cron tab for this. Similarly, if you want to schedule it for every 30 minutes, this is the cron tab. So it is just to help you to understand the various parameters that you can use. And I told you something called 8 a.m., right? This is the thing, every day 8 a.m. This is the schedule. If you say 22, 10 p.m. like that, it just maintains your cron tab. Definitely, this will be very much helpful for you. I added this in your document here. Whenever you find time, please go through it. Even it is allowed, okay? Even real time also will be having such internal portals. We'll be referring it from there. Any question on this build trigger? So build trigger is used to automate your job execution. Irrespective whether you're going to do your application build or deployment, that is secondary. Whatever the job you want to schedule to run, you can use your build trigger. Easy? Any question? Hope you understood the example, right? Where it can be implemented, for what purpose it can be implemented. So this 8 a.m. can be considered a start job. And this 10 p.m. can be considered a stop service job, something like this. So this job can be scheduled run at 8 a.m. This can be scheduled run at 10 p.m. Like that, you can able to prepare your job definitions. Any question? What happened? Why so silent?
No, looks like can move forward.
Sometimes your silent disturbs a lot, you know. The next topic is about GitHub Webhook. This is the second no option available in your build trigger. Like if you can see your configuration, we have build periodic option, and also we have something called GitHub Webhook. So what is the purpose of GitHub Webhook means? It is used to trigger the Jenkins job whenever there is any commit happened in the remote repository. Whenever you commit anything to your remote repository, the job should get automatically triggered. For example, this is my CSD pipeline project. The purpose of this job is to identify the latest changes from your source code repository and perform event build and deploy target server for further testing. Consider I am a developer. I am giving you a real-time scenario. Listen, please. I am a developer. I am using my Visual Studio Code to develop this Java project. And from Visual Studio Code itself, I just push the latest changes into the source code repository. Possible, no? Possible, right? We discussed it in the last module,
Yes.
like how we can able to
Yes.
access your GitHub repository through Visual Studio Code.
Yes.
Now, as part of this process, if I commit anything to my remote repository, I should manually come to this job and trigger the job, right? That's what I'm doing so far. I have to explicitly click on the build now option to run the job. It is not a continuous integration. Continuous integration means whenever there is any changes happened in the remote repository, automatically the job should get triggered. It should access my source code repository, perform the build and take it for further testing. So how I can able to trigger the job as soon as I commit the changes in the source code repository? For that, we can use an option called GitHub Webhook. So the point here is GitHub Webhook has to be configured in the remote repository by using Jenkins URL. So just go to your repository. This is a repository, right, which I have created. And in this repository, if you click on the settings option, repository level settings, you can see something called webhooks. Can you see this? I repeat, click on the repository And in the repository, we have something called settings, and go to repository settings and select this webhooks. Now you can see there is an option to add webhook. If you click on add webhook in your source code repository settings, if you enabled multi-factor authentication, it will ask for such things. So let me enter the code here. And now it will take you to the webhook configuration page. Here you can enter the payload URL. The payload URL is nothing but your Jenkins URL. Okay. So this is how we should be able to set up your payload URL. Hope you all can see this. So this is my Jenkins server URL followed by the port number, and add a tag /GitHub webhook. Right. So once you add this tag, this will be considered as the payload URL for your GitHub. That's it. Now you can type the content type as application/JSON, and leave all the parameters default. And what you're going to do with this webhook, it means for which event you're going to trigger the job. My requirement is whenever I push anything to my remote repository, I just want to trigger this webhook. Or if I click on this button, this option, send me everything. It means whatever the action I perform in this repository, whether it is creating any changes, processing a pull request, creating a branch, whatever the action I do, for every action, the job will get triggered. Usually we do it for some notification purpose. But for this use case, we never do that. Or if you want, you can able to choose from your own. These are the various events that can trigger your webhook. Because GitHub is not just for source code repository. We have a lot of other capabilities also, right? So for all these events, you can able to enable your webhook. So in our case, we'll be using just for push event. We have something here. See, repost level push. That's what. Got it. Either you can select here or from here. And ensure that you keep this webhook active. Got it. And click on add webhook. I repeat, go to your repost level settings and click on this webhook and click on add webhook. In the add webhook configuration page, enter the payload URL. That payload URL should be the external IP address of your Jenkins server along with the port number, and GitHub-webhook as a tag. And then choose the event. We are going to choose push event, make it active and click on add webhook. That's it. So now that one webhook has been created here. Easy. Once you create a webhook, go to your job configuration page and just enable this checkbox. Just enable this checkbox and save the job. That's it. Once you enable this, once you enable this, and if you go to your source code repository, let's go to any file or anything I can able to update. Any file like this, a folder, I can able to update any component in that folder. Any changes I can make. Like there's a source code. You know how to edit the repository file, right? Click on edit and you can add some comment like GitHub webhook. Just a small change I'm making here and committing it. Easy. So I just made a small change and committed the repository. And what is the expectation here? As soon as I commit the changes, it should trigger the build, correct? Now, if I go to my jobs dashboard, I expect one trigger should happen here. I think it is taking some time to load. See, it's loading now. So let it load. Hope you understand, right? What does GitHub Webhook means? Any question?
I have a question. So what will happen if we set up GitHub webhooks for multiple repositories?
You can update it there, no problem. Add webhook for the particular repository. Specify your URL, and you can able to filter it with the job name, which job you're configuring, right? Let's say in this particular job, I'm configuring the webhook, right?
Yeah.
That job will be monitored. And if there's any changes happen, here you mentioned the source code repository, correct?
Oh, yes.
So this job, how this job is getting executed means this repository is available there. So for this repository, if you enable the webhook, this job will get triggered.
Okay, so it will read the repository name and then it will reflect the action.
Yes, that's right.
Got it.
All right. So this is about your GitHub webhook option. And there's another use case also, like another example, that is something called poll SEM. So poll SEM is also another important thing we use. So what is the purpose of poll SEM means? It is basically used to trigger the build based upon the cron tab only if there is any changes happen in source code repository. Can you able to understand? What is build periodic option? What the build periodic will do? What this build periodic will do?
Trigger jobs irrespective of any changes.
So whenever there is a time frame or scheduled time reaches, it will trigger the job. It is not going to concern about your source code repository, whether you may change source code repository, that is secondary. As soon as that schedule reaches, the job will get triggered. That means irrespective of your code changes, you can able to trigger the job, that is build periodic option. Similarly, we have something called poll SEM. This poll SEM also, it is based upon the cron tab. Like if you click on this poll SEM, here also it is explaining cron tab. So if I say every minute I want to trigger the job means I can just have this here and save it, that's all. But it will not trigger the job for every minute. It just check for the source code repository. The repository, whatever we mentioned in your project, it'll check for the repository. If there is any changes happen in the repository, then only it will trigger this build. All right. So it means this job is scheduled to run for every minute. It means there are 60 seconds in between. In that 60 seconds time frame, if there is any commits or updates happen in this repository, then only it will trigger the build. Otherwise, it won't. Can you able to understand the scenario here?
Yes.
So the flow of execution is we have to set up your schedule here using poll SEM, give a cron tab definition, save the job. That's it. And then if you make any changes source code repository, this job will get triggered. It won't, otherwise it won't get triggered. So it will keep on monitoring your source code repository as well as your job cron tab. Let's say, for example, in that 16 seconds time period, there is no changes happened in the repository. So there won't be any trigger there. Easy. So in which situations we'll be using it in real-time environments? In real time, there is something called test cycles, build cycles. Heard about these terms? Heard about the test cycle
Yeah, looks like, yeah.
Hmm? Let's say in our GitHub webhook, as soon as I make any changes source code repository, it will trigger the job, identify the latest source code, and deploy to target server, right? That is the GitHub webhook. But in some organizations, they don't want to test the changes immediately. There'll be some test cycle. Like for example, consider there is a QA team, testing team. They will pick up their code for testing in these three time frame, like morning 8 a.m., 12 p.m. and 3 p.m. Every day, once in 4 hours during the business time, they will pick up the source code for QA testing. So let's say morning 8 a.m., the job has started. They have identified all the changes, what are things happened in the last day, and they perform the testing here. Now, between 8 and 12, there are 4 hours time period. In that 4 hours of time period, if any developer makes any changes source code repository, then only at 12 o'clock, this job will be triggered again. Because at 12 o'clock, it has to consolidate all the changes and do a QA testing. Let's say, for example, between 8 and 12, there is no changes happen in the repository. Is there any use in triggering at 12 o'clock?
No.
If there is no changes in the
Okay.
repository, then what is the purpose of triggering the QA build cycle, right? There is no purpose. So that is what the advantage of using PolSCM. We use it in for some customers, few applications will be using this approach. Few applications will be using continuous integration approach. So depends on the application, we can define your scheduling there. Easy? Understood the purpose, right?
Yes.
So after 3 p.m. till next day morning 8 a.m., what are all the changes you made in the repository, everything will be consolidated together, and 8 a.m. it just triggers the QA cycle and do the testing. All right. Are we good with this approach? So to do this, you can simply go to your job configuration, enable the PolSCM, and then apply the changes. Save the job, that's it. And then whenever you make any changes in source code repository, it will get updated. If you click on edit and make some changes here. Commit the changes. Your job will get triggered there. I think there is, see, your build number 9 is finished waiting, and there is something happening actually. See, if you can see the build number 8, last build, and this is the latest build, it is up and running now. So it is started by ACM change. Can you see this? There is some changes happen in the repository, and because of it has triggered the job. This is something based on a timer. This is manual action. So like this, as a developer, I can focus only on my business objective. As soon as I prepare my source code and commit the changes, it should automatically perform build and deployment. Easy? Am I clear with this?
Looks like possible. Can you explain one more time what is full SCM and periodical, full bill periodical? And little bit confused actually.
Build periodic, right?
Yeah, bill periodical and full SCM.
See, build periodic means it is used to run your job based upon some time frame. Like consider I want to run the job every day at 8 a.m.
Okay.
Correct. Assume that the job is not going to perform any application build. It is not attached with any remote repository. It is just a small. Yesterday, you written a simple job, right? Pipeline job, right? Using echo command.
Yeah.
So such jobs, even if there is no source code repo, that's what used to trigger the Jenkins job, irrespective of any code change. And it is not actually meant for CI/CD pipeline. Any process automation, you can able to schedule it through build periodic.
Okay.
But poll SEO means here also I'm going to use a schedule. I want to start the job at 8 a.m. or I want to start the job at 12 p.m. only if there is any changes happen in the repository.
Okay.
Got it? So how the flow of execution is, if you define a job with build periodic option, as soon as it reaches 8 a.m., the job will get triggered.
Okay.
But in poll SEM, as soon as it reaches 8 a.m., it won't trigger the job. It will check for the repository changes. If there any changes happen or not in the repository, it will check for it. If there is
Okay.
any changes happen in the repository, then only the job will get triggered.
So in periodic loss, if you mention if every 15 minutes it'll check, but it will update automatically, or it will at 8 p.m. only it update fully actually in periodical.
Come again?
Actually, or in pull SEM for every minute it'll checks and it will update at the time, right?
Yes, that's
If
right.
any changes happens, update at the time, right?
Yeah.
But in periodical, so it also checks every minute, right? Every minute, if
Yeah.
the changes are if any changes has happened, it is only the changes will complete at 8 a.m. or it will get it done then and there.
Yeah, that's right. If there is any changes happen between 8 a.m. and 12 p.m., let's say you have to start one job at 12.
Okay.
Previously, you executed the job, same job at 8 a.m. and the next cycle is going to start at 12 o'clock.
Okay.
So between 8 and 12, if there is any changes happen in the repository,
Okay.
then only a poll SEM will start the job.
Okay. Okay.
Got it?
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Understand.
Or
We'll select the three timings in that drop down, like
come again?
8 a.m., 12 p.m., 3 p.m.
Yeah, you can do that. No, you can have a schedule, right? I showed you how to choose 8 a.m. No.
Yeah.
So let's say this is a job configuration. This is something like 8. Correct? Like that, you can give multiple things. It's possible.
Then how it will define that it is the start time at the end time means
That
start
is what
time.
your schedule, Jenkins poll SEM or any cron tab means. It will
Okay.
check for the schedule on that particular day of hour of that particular day, right?
Yes.
So it is over. Now 12, it has to start. Like that, it just takes it automatically.
Okay.
This is what the parameter. So hour of the day, right? If 8th hour is passed, then it'll check for 12. If this is passed, then it'll check for 22. That is how it checks for the hour of the day. Easy?
Yes.
So that is all about your build trigger option in Jenkins. Any question? Hope you all able to understand the difference between poll SEM and build periodic option, right? And also GitHub webhook. GitHub webhook is very straightforward. As soon as I make a changes, I want to trigger the build. But poll SEM and GitHub webhook, sorry, poll SEM and build periodic might be confusing. But if you understand the use case properly, it's very easy.
To sum up, actually, poll SEMs used for repositories and built periodically for any code changes has happened in Jenkins model. So that's right.
Yeah, irrespective of any build, any repository, any process automation. It is
Okay.
not about code change.
Okay.
Anything you want to execute. Let's say I want to take a backup of a file. every day at around 10 p.m.
Okay.
from one server to
Okay.
another server.
Okay.
You can create a Jenkins job. You can give a use your SCP, access your remote server, copy the file from one server to another server. That is the definition given in Jenkins job. That job you can schedule run at 10 p.m.
Okay.
every day.
For any production server, you can use for build periodic, right?
Any process automation. That's it.
Process automation. Okay. Okay. Understand.
Similarly, we do some sort of cleanup activities. Consider I have a Jenkins slave node. In that slave node, we are trying to perform the application builds, right?
Yeah.
So whenever we try to perform application build, we have to clone the repository first. SCM checkout happens.
Yeah. Yes.
So this SCM checkout, what is going to do?
You clone the repository directly to the stream.
It will download the entire source code repository into your build server.
Build server.
Correct.
Yeah.
It includes the source code and all the associated components. And once the artifacts created, that WAR file also will be placed in the same server.
Yeah.
Like this, if you are cloning around 100 repositories to this slave node, definitely it will consume a lot of volume, right? In this workspace folder.
Yeah, definitely.
So we have to periodically clean up these workspace. So
Okay.
let's say once in 2 days, I want to delete all the workspace directories.
Okay.
I can create one Jenkins job for that.
Of previous version, you have to delete periodically. You
Yeah.
have to do it.
Yes. I want to delete all the folders that are outdated for more than 2 days, like that.
Okay. Okay. Sure. Sure.
So in such situations, I can create a project and I can run that project once in 2 days. Simple.
Sure. 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 I understand what you're trying to say, but need to practice a lot actually.
Understanding matters, okay? Practicing is a lifetime habit. Even if you practice 5 years also, right? We can't be sure that we are expert in that. But if you understand the
to
concept,
get familiar with these topics and the workflow, that's why.
Yeah. So my recommendation is understand the concept, and for all the major topics, I'm giving you some use cases, right?
Yeah.
Like real-time scenarios. Just remember those things. If you want, just make a note of it on your rough page or somewhere, right?
Okay.
Make a note of it and remember it. That is more than sufficient.
Sure.
Because during interviews, right, when we interview any freshers like this, people who have just completed their DevOps training, let's say you are appearing for an interview, correct? In interview panel, what we expect from freshers means we never expect their 100% real-time or hands-on experience. Because we are sure that they are freshers, definitely they won't have any real-time scenario. Even if you marked in a resume also, we can quickly figure it out.
Okay.
But all that we expect from you people is how much you are strong in your fundamentals.
Okay. Sure.
Correct. The concepts, whatever you have learned, how much you are clear about that concept, and how much you can able to relate it with the real-time scenario.
So we'll ask a scenario-based questions there.
Of course, let's say, for example, it's a real scenario, like consider you learned about one build periodic option, right?
Yeah.
What is the real-time scenario for it?
To the process automations.
That is what expected, nothing else.
Okay.
And one more important thing, like today you're learning about Jenkins and we are completing Jenkins module. It's not mandated that you'll be working on Jenkins, right?
Definitely, yeah.
Customer will be using Azure pipelines or GitLab CI or AWS code pipeline. A lot of things are there.
Sure.
But you learned only on Jenkins module. Then how you can fit into that position?
By understanding the fundamentals.
Yes, if you understand the fundamental concepts of your CSD pipeline, and if you can able to execute this CSD pipeline, create your CSD pipeline through Jenkins, with that knowledge, you can able to work on anything. Because we are here to train you based upon real-time customers environment.
Sure.
So whether you can able to adapt to the training or not, that is what we will check. Nothing else.
Okay, sure.
Correct?
Got it. Yeah.
So we are not expecting 100% from any resource. We have some benchmark like 60 percentage. If you can able to touch that 60 percentage, right, we can pull you inside and we can make you 100%. Okay, so that is what the way of preparation you should do basically.
Sure, sure.
Got it?
Yeah, I understand.
Fine. So now we let me stop with this. In tomorrow's session, you hope you all have your email ID. Just let's talk about that email notification next session. And then we'll talk about Docker next module. Right? So what's the question? We are giving a payload URL as public IP address of Jenkins. So we need yes, that's right. So whenever you restart your Jenkins server, in this case, you have to take the latest IP address from the Jenkins server and update that webhook URL. Is that clear? Vaishali?
Yes, I got it.
But in real-time environment, it won't happen like that because there will be having one static or elastic IP or DNS there. It's a permanent identity of that server we have. But for sake of demo, you cannot expect that. So you have to manually update it.
Okay.
So any other question from anyone? So as part of today's session, we have covered the Tomcat server installation and configuration. And also we can able to set up your CSD pipeline with the Tomcat server to enable continuous integration, continuous deliver deployment, and talked about the build periodic option, build poll SCM GitHub webhook. All good? Or any question from anyone? I think most of you are already comfortable with Jenkins, right? Already aware of Jenkins. Right? Already you people worked in Jenkins. That's what I can sense.
No, sir. This is the first time learning about Jenkins.
No, not everyone. Most of the people. People who are all silent, they're all really comfortable, expert in Jenkins. So anything else required? All right, so let's update the repository. Tomorrow we'll start with Docker. Okay, you will understand Docker or Ansible. What we'll do?
Docker.
Docker. For email notification, you can have your email account, Gmail account, and also ensure that you have your multi-factor authentication enabled using mobile number. Ensure that you updated your mobile number and able to create your multi-factor authentication in Gmail account. That is a prerequisite. Let me update for Tomcat server configuration page. That's it. So your documents are up to date. Please ensure that you practice. We'll see tomorrow. Thank you all for your time. So, questions from